What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? And today I'm going to be giving my first impressions on Assassin's Creed Mirage. I recently finished this game as of last night, and I would have to say one thing is that I was thoroughly impressed with this game so far from the beginning of this game. Now, overall, what I truly think about this title as an Assassin's Creed game, I think it's definitely one of my favorites of this newer generation of games from Assassin's Creed. This game definitely feels that of reminiscence of that of the very first one back in 2007, more so than from even from the Ezio trilogy, because it does harken back to what the first Assassin's Creed game though did, because of in terms of its some of its slow mechanics in terms of the parkouring. But one thing I will readily admit is that with Basim in Mirage, I do believe that he is much quicker than Altair. Altair in the first Assassin's Creed was very much slower than Basim, but he was an assassin overall, as we already know that. But another greatly impression about this game though too is the fact that it's the world of Baghdad. I love the fact that this game is divided up into four different types of districts, and it's fascinating because every part of the district in Mirage felt like it was lively, it was vibrant, it was lush in its own unique way. But each district was always going to be somewhat differentiated between of each district. It had its own unique style of, you know, pleasantries, or like maybe sometimes maybe down to earth in a sort of type of way. But that's what I loved about each district in Baghdad in this game, and that's why I think I thoroughly enjoyed this game more so than I did from that of Valhalla and Odyssey, even Origins. I mean, because those were like the open world RPG mechanic games of the newer Assassin's Creeds. But even so, I think Mirage did an excellent job in all fronts, in my personal opinion, of what it truly meant to feel like an assassin. This game definitely feels that of an Assassin's Creed game, because I do believe that Mirage did a really good job of what it wanted to do, and I think it did it well. Now, one thing I would really like to get in here too is that I really think that Mirage did something that not only what I previously stated, it was the fact that the combat mechanics are that a little bit slower. Not really slower, they are pretty graphic to its own unique universal design of that combat system. But, where the challenge lies in is the fact that you have to constantly parry if you want to be able to do good counterattacks. That's one thing I was very impressed with, because I was kind of taken aback from it for a little bit, because I'm just like, it's like, I don't know how I feel about this. But once I decided to get myself into some combat scenarios, I felt like that it was unique. I mean, because usually normally with the newer Assassin's Creeds, or like even with the older ones, specifically much like from the Ezio trilogy, and going more forward into the other games that we've had in the previous past years, is in fact that they did have a pairing system in its own unique type of way. But with the pairing system in Mirage, it felt a little different in so many aspects and concepts of it, because I wouldn't say it was lacking. Like I said, it posed more of a challenge. And I think that's one of the another impressions about Mirage, what I really thought about with its combat mechanics and systems. And that's where I feel like that the impression on that is very thoroughly enjoyable. I thought that it was, like I said before, it was challenging, but I like the fact that, when you're playing as Basim in Mirage, he is not meant to be more of a combat focused concept character, much like from Eivor, or much like from that of Ezio, or Bayek, or Odyssey, Cassandra and Alexios. But in Mirage, Basim is more of, he might be a thief, yes, but he eventually becomes a master assassin, and that's where I feel like that's where Basim is I thought he was a very well-rounded character. I love the overall structure of him, and the way how he was portrayed by Lee Majub, which was actually ended up being an actor in the Sonic the Hedgehog 2, I believe, and the first Sonic the Hedgehog movies. But overall, I still think that he did an amazing voiceover job. He did an excellent job of portraying this character in this game. And that's why I am very surprised and impressed with with the action sequences in this game, and with the interactions along with certain types of characters within Mirage. And I think that's where this game really does a good focus and focal point and the concept of it, to where this game, like I said, this game knows what it's doing. And I'm glad that it really greatly expanded upon Bassam and his story arc, and eventually becoming that reincarnation of Loki in Valhalla. And, we thoroughly saw that towards the end of this game. And like I said, I finished this last night. And so it's like, I couldn't believe it. I was thoroughly, like I said, I was impressed. I was happy for what I received in my hands while playing this game. And it greatly shows that I have so much appreciation and surprised of what Ubisoft Bordeaux was able to do with a game like this. I actually, at first, because, even though I was impressed with this game when this game initially got announced, but like I mentioned before in my previous videos, I was very optimistic. I was skeptical. But since the game is out now, I really think that this game really did it justice. I really do, because it's like, I really think that Mirage is going to set the standard to where we want to possibly go forward with future Assassin's Creed titles in the not too distant future. And I'm really hoping that we get something like this again. I really do, because it's like, I really think that when it came to the newer Assassin's Creeds, much like Valhalla, Odyssey, or Origins, I really think that with 9th Century Baghdad, like I said, I'm impressed with everything about Mirage, because this is exactly what I've always wanted. Because even with Origins, as I previously mentioned in a video of that one, or Odyssey or Valhalla, those games were vastly open world. And even though that Mirage is somewhat open world, but it's not as open world like the previous games. And that's what made me greatly impressed about this game overall too. And that's where I feel like that this game is one of the most utterly important games of this year. Even though that this is really not much of a AAA title, like a lot of people are anticipating to think of from that previous Assassin's Creeds. But overall, even though this game is multi-platform, I just think that Mirage did something that I was pleasantly surprised with. Very pleasantly surprised with. Because after going through the entire game, another greatly impression about this is that I loved the way how every type of single district that you went into, when you're looking for collectibles or like doing the black box missions as they are called from that of the Siege of Paris DLC in Valhalla, oh my gosh, it was absolutely awesome. I loved it. And so that's why I think that's where Mirage just does a really good job with its visual design, with its fidelity of how it shows in visual. And I love the story arc in this system, the story arc systems in this game. With the certain types of NPCs, I love everything of what this whole entire game really pertains and entails when it comes to story-driven, non-linear games like Mirage. I think it really did a fantastic job on that, and that's just my own personal opinion, of course. Now, I will, however, possibly maybe put another video into play and, basically giving my final thoughts on this game, but I really don't think I need to do that, because I think I'm going to be doing that in this video though too, because I really think that it's not necessary doing that. So that's exactly what I'm going to do here. And what I will say in my final impressions on this game as well, it's thoroughly enjoyable. Like I said, I enjoyed this game from beginning to end. This game definitely was a little slow at times, but, I wouldn't say that's much of a flaw or maybe a con. It was just that it did feel a little slow, but that's where I felt like where this game really does a good job of utilizing Bassam as a character and, becoming that becoming that thief, and then eventually becoming that hidden one, that master assassin. And that's where I believe that's where my final impressions are when it comes to Basim as a character and becoming that hidden one. And I think that's what's greatly important about this game as well. So one thing I would say is that I really think is that Mirage, it's amazing. I really don't understand the hate for this game. I think the hate for this game was very, very inadequate, and it was not. I feel like that a lot of people are being. I felt like that a lot of people or a lot of fans were being misled with this game. But like I said, now since this game is out, we have finally been able to get a lot of very good positive feedback from a lot of fans or maybe the majority. But to me personally, as a fan from that of the original and to what we have now, I think that Mirage just really does an amazing job in all fronts. Basim, like I said, he's an amazing character. I'm impressed with everything of what this game really does and utilizes the concepts, the visual art style, the core gameplay direction with the parkour systems. And that's one thing I was really greatly impressed with Basim as well, because he is that nimble assassin. He is definitely a lot quicker than Altair, in my personal opinion, because I always felt like with Altair, he was a little bit slow. I did feel like that Basim was a little slow at times, but even then, I really think that Basim is. I actually really enjoyed Basim as a character. I think I had no problems with him. I like the way how he sometimes ends up talking to himself. But that's where I really felt like that where Basim is. I felt like he was just a strong character in that own type of regard, in my personal opinion. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people will say, well, I think Basim is like one of the worst characters. And that may be to your own type of liking or to your own type of train of thought. But in my own personal opinion, like I previously stated, and I tend to repeat myself, so I'm not going to do that, is that it still holds true to me. Because, I feel like that when it comes to single player games, much like Assassin's Creed, Mirage, or even Valhalla or Odyssey or Origins or the previous years of past titles, it's the story that really sets the bar for this game. I think the story is one of the best I've seen. I think it's way better than Valhalla's, even though that Valhalla is the latest one that we've had since 2020, I believe. But overall, I still believe that Mirage just does a really good job with all the impressions that I've been giving this game, and it's amazing. So all I can say is that what I will say here too is that I do strongly 100% agree that this is a strong title, and I really would like to see more future games like this in the not too distant future, as I previously mentioned. So I just think that when it comes to Mirage, to me, it delivered on all fronts, to be quite honest. And I'm not even going to dignify the response of any type of negative comments on my channel. I don't care. You can bash anything of what you want, or be that as it may. But even then, it's just like, I'm just doing this for fun. So that's all I'm doing. But overall, my first and final impressions on this game, as I previously mentioned, the story arc. I love Basim. Great character. He's a strong character, and he plays a much more pivotal role in Valhalla. And I think that's where Mirage does a really good job of focusing on Basim and what he actually becomes at the end of this game, and how it's going to forward that into Valhalla as well, because this game is initially known as a prequel. So, anyways, so much further ado, thank you for tuning in. Greatly appreciated. Any comments or questions, please feel free to put them in the comment section below. Be more than happy to reply back if and whenever possible. And you guys have a good rest of your week. Peace.